Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on Mitv. I am Victor Daniels. In the news, the Chief Imam of Ilorin, Sheikh Muhammad Bashir Salih, has passed away at the age of 75. His death was confirmed on Monday by the cleric's Chief Secretary, Dr. Abdulaziz Arowana. And according to him, the respected Islamic scholar died after decades of service to Islam and the Ilorin Emirate. Born in 1950 in Ilorin, Kwara State, Salih dedicated his life to Islamic scholarship and religious leadership. He became the 12th Chief Imam of the Ilorin Emirate in 1983, a position he held for over 40 years. The Emir of Ilorin and Chairman of Kwara State Traditional Rulers Council, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, has expressed a deep sadness over the demise of the Chief Imam of Ilorin. Sulu Gambari, in a condolence message issued by his press secretary, Dr. Abdulaziz Arowana, described the demise of the cleric as a colossal loss to the Ilorin Emirate, the entire Muslim Ummah and humanity in general. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed a deep sorrow over the passing of Sheikh Muhammad Bashir Salih, the Chief Imam of Ilorin, who died at the age of 75, and in a condolence message issued on Monday by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu described the late cleric as a revered Islamic scholar and whose life was devoted to faith, service, and the promotion of unity within the society. The President extended his heartfelt sympathies to the family of the deceased, the Emir of Ilorin, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, the Ilorin Emirate Council, and the Muslim community in Kwara State over what he described as a profound loss. According to Tinubu, the late Chief Imam played a significant role in fostering religious harmony and community development, and while also dedicating himself to the education and moral upbringing of younger generations. President Tinubu also offered prayers for the repose of the soul of the departed cleric, asking the Almighty Allah to grant him al-Jannah Firdaus and the comfort that his family, followers, and the wider Muslim community at his moment of grief. The Vice President Kashim Shettima on Monday commissioned Nigeria's first ever sovereign pavilion, the Nigeria House, at the 2026 World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, describing it as a clear signal of the country's renewed resolve to actively shape the global economic conversations. Speaking at the formal opening, the Vice President said the Nigeria House reflects the nation's seriousness, readiness, and determination to engage the global economy as a committed participant rather than a passive observer. He noted that Nigeria's growth depends on deliberate and structured global engagement, stressing that while government provides the framework, the private sector must drive growth and innovation. Shettima said the pavilion marked a historic milestone in Nigeria's economic diplomacy and comes at a time when the dividends of the Tinubu administration's reform are beginning to manifest. Earlier, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, said the Nigerian House project, delivered through a public-private partnership, reflects renewed national confidence and improved investor trust under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic reforms. Officials of the Solid Minerals Ministry, private sector partners, and senior government representatives also described the Nigerian House as a strategic hub to attract investment into Nigeria's non-oil economy and strengthen global partnerships.
In repositioning Nigeria's economy, we are here to engage the world from a position of strength. It's one of the world's largest emerging markets. Nigeria is a nation of over 242 million people today, with a median age of about 17 years. And the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa. And certainly, most certainly, Nigeria will make or mar that transition. It is pertinent to mention that 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, Nigeria will surpass the United States, will be the 3rd most populous nation on earth with a population of 440 million people. That demographic reality explains the revolutionary energy of our youth at the heart of Africa's digital economy and their dominance across technology, fintech, creative industries, and entrepreneurship.
And Petroleum Development Company Limited, First EPT, our platinum sponsors, the AFC, Owando Holding, Tetra Corp, Sombeth, Arua Capital, Bank of Agriculture, PINL, AB InBev, Napel Energies, Roxette, Tantita Security Services, CD Preston, Family Home Funds, and many more. I've taken the time to list out the names because this project not only demonstrates a strong public-private partnership, but also reflects the rejuvenation of the Nigerian economy, the reinvigoration of the belief and the trust of the private sector in the federal government of Nigeria. It shows a deepening sense of national pride and commitment to the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The Nigeria House exists for one purpose: to make it easier for credible partners to understand our market, engage our businesses and institutions, and move from interest to partnership. The initiative is part of a broader shift in how Nigeria engages the world, less fragmented, more coordinated, more intentional, and reflects a deeper shift at home towards stronger institutional alignment, clearer accountability, and a shared focus on delivering on Mr. President's economic agenda. From this official opening and throughout the entire week, we shall signal the above through a rich, carefully curated agenda of formal discussions and social events, which we're known for. And I encourage everyone to sign up and participate fully in the stellar lineup. From
Journalists and legislative media teams have been urged to continue playing a critical role in shaping public understanding, trust and civic engagement as the House of Representatives reaffirmed the 10th Assembly's commitment to transparency, engagement and accessibility in communicating its work amid the growing digital governance challenges. This was stressed at the Joint Capacity Building retreat for the House of Representatives Press Corps and Parliamentary Media Aids, themed Digital Governance and Legislative Reporting, organized by the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. The retreat focused on strengthening accurate, ethical and right-based reporting of technology-driven legislation. Speaking at the event, House spokesman and chairman of the committee, Honorable Akin Rotimi Jr., said the engagement was timely as the National Assembly increasingly grapples with issues bordering on data protection, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and digital rights. He emphasized that effective legislative communication is essential to sustaining public confidence, especially in an era of rapid technological change.
Democracy functions best when citizens are well informed, when institutions communicate responsibly, and when the media ecosystem upholds professionalism and public interest. I urge every participant to engage actively, ask hard questions, contribute thoughtfully, and take full advantage of the expertise assembled here. The quality of legislative reporting in the period ahead will reflect the seriousness with which we approach engagements like this.
You can help shape conversation in a way that people will be more interested in the issues. Unfortunately, we have a trust deficit between the governed and government in Nigeria. But one of the ways we can fix that deficit is for you, the press corps, to help us translate conversations that happen here at the National Assembly, especially the area that we know, digital issues, into things that people want to understand. And we'll talk a bit more about that today. We'll talk about the foundational concepts of digital rights. We'll introduce to you, there's a report that we've been publishing since 2015. One of the things I'm proud of with our work is consistency.
Today, journalism and legislative communication no longer operates solely in the realms of headlines and press statements. We now work in a digital ecosystem shaped by data, algorithms, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and online rights. How we understand these issues and how we explain them to Nigerians matters deeply. As members of the House of Representatives Press Corps, our duty is not just to report what happens in the House, but to make the work of the Parliament understandable to Nigerians, credible and relevant to citizens.
The Chief of Armed Staff, Lieutenant General Wahid Shaibu, has charged troops of the division, Nigerian Army, to sustain discipline, professionalism, and commitment as they work to restore and maintain peace across Plateau State. Shaibu delivered the charge during an operational visit to the division's headquarters in Jos, where he held a strategic meeting with senior officers, commissioned renovated accommodation and office facilities to address soldiers at the parade ground, describing the military's role in Plateau as critical. The Army Chief noted that the state's unique security challenges required a disciplined and coordinated approach. He assured the personnel that measures were being taken to address operational needs and welfare concerns. Highlighting the military as a structured institution built on hierarchy and mentorship, he urged the young soldiers to learn from their superiors and respect the chain of command. Workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) and the Federal Capital Development Authority (FCDA) on Monday began an indefinite strike, grounding the government's activities across Abuja over unresolved labor and welfare issues. The industrial action followed the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum issued on January the 7th, which the unions said elapsed without meaningful engagement from management. The strike action was declared by the Joint Union Action Congress, which directed workers across all cadres to withdraw their services, citing the authorities' failure to address the long-standing concerns. Personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and the Nigerian Police Force were stationed at affected premises, preventing workers from entering. In addressing the journalist, the drug president, Rifkatul Lotier, and Vice President Musa Itfinas said the decision followed repeated but unsuccessful attempts to engage the management and the minister of the FCT. In its response, the FCT said 10 out of the 14 demands presented by workers had been met, with the remaining issues under review. The administration also noted that some unions, including the Law Officers Association of Nigeria, had disassociated themselves from the strike and appealed for access for their members. The Senior Special Assistant to the Minister on Public Communications, Larry Olayinka, disclosed that the top FCTA officials held meetings with the union leaders over the weekend in an effort to resolve the impasse.
Our demands are no remittance of our pension to the pension fund administrators, issues with our national housing funds deduction and remittances, unpaid promotion areas, no training and retraining of staff, intimidation by certain of our staff by certain senior officers in the system, no threshold, financial autonomy for our permanent secretaries and head of SDAs. The list are so many. Mass failure of just concluded CBT examinations. Yeah, non-payment of overhead. Just plenty issues. Yeah, nobody likes trouble. If all these demands are met, or if we sit on a round table with them and talk and marshal out how to solve these problems, we'll be fine. If you have been in FCT long enough, you know that this is the first time the FCT staff are embarking on a strike. We can agitate. There's even the agitation for on protest level. It's once in a very, very long time.
The plight of the workers of FCT is bad. That's what I will say. It's very bad since the inception of this administration. Since 2022, the staffs have been going through so many troubles. And we've tried to call the attention of the management, but in particular the FCT administration, the FCT minister, because he's the only one that can resolve these issues. But he has refused to meet with the union, and I believe the union is the main stakeholder of FCT, of any organization. Meet with us and let's let you know the problems of the administration, but he has refused to meet with us. We have issue of promotion, which was conducted, and so many failures, as I told you. Yes, as a result of the FCT Service Commission, the chairman, the man I don't know, we want him removed because he has been a problem. He's incompetent, he's not listening to staff, and that office is supposed to be held by an administrator, but not a politician or an engineer that has never worked with any. He has never been a civil servant. So it was a mass failure of this promotion. And the promotion we are talking about is 2024 promotion. We still have outstanding of 2025. You understand? And you have mass failure even when we were discussing with the management, telling them that this promotion was not supposed to be like this. But it was, they did not listen to us.
The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has signed the 2026 appropriation bill, tagged the budget of shared prosperity into law, saying it would be implemented accountably by his administration. This comes 11 days after members of the Lagos House of Assembly approved the budget size to about 4.4 trillion naira from the 4.2 trillion naira sent by Governor in December. Governor Sanwo-Olu, who noted that this year's budget is the last full year of his administration's budget implementation, expressed hope the residents would be the greatest beneficiaries. Governor Sanwo-Olu commended the Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, and other lawmakers for the due diligence, maintaining that executive and legislative would continue to work hand in hand for good governance. Representatives of the Speaker of Lagos Assembly, Nohim Adams, commended Governor Sanwo-Olu people-oriented policies, saying the budget was well scrutinized by Assembly members and optimistic that it reflects the economic realities of the benefits of Lagosians. And earlier, Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okbe George, said the budget of shared prosperity was designed to accelerate economic growth, deepen infrastructure development, improve transportation system, and maintain fiscal responsibility.
Due diligence, I want to thank you for the work you have done. Lagosians will indeed thank you. We will notice that there's a slight increase from what we put forward, but that goes to show that the independence that you have and the fact that you believe that Lagosians actually also deserve more, and the fact that you believe that we also can do more. For us in the executive, it is another opportunity for us to do the work and do it well. It's a budget of shared prosperity, has been properly christened, and sharing prosperity meaning that it's an inclusive government. It's a budget that must carry everybody along. You must feel governance, you must feel the essence of why we're in government in one form or the other. If it's on the roads that we're going to build, if it's on the schools that we're going to build, if it's on the health facility we're going to build, if it's on the various industries and engagement we're going to have if it is on the various interventions.
The budget has been well scrutinized, and I can say here today, and the budget has been approved by the Lagos State House of Assembly, and we have approved 4,444,509,000,000 naira, and the budget is budget of shared prosperity. And we are sure that the budget reflects the reality of today's Lagos.
This budget reflects deliberate planning, and it strengthens the foundations for a more resilient, competitive, and people-centered Lagos, one that is equipped to address present challenges while positioning for future growth. With a total proposed size of 4.2 trillion, which was reviewed upward slightly to 4.444 trillion by the Lagos State House of Assembly after legislative scrutiny and committee engagement with ministries, departments, and agencies, the year 2026 budget represents a bold yet disciplined fiscal response to prevailing economic realities.
Meanwhile, Governor Wazobia Today has expressed disappointment over scooping of fuel at Apapa by a Liverpool bridge by some residents and describing the act as reckless. Governor Sanwo-Olu commended the swift action of first responders and the police who condoned the area before any eventuality and warned residents to desist from such act. The governor, who spoke frankly on indiscipline, especially indiscriminate dumping of refuse on road median, said a stiffer penalty would be served this year. He hinted that Lagos Waste Management Authority, LOMA, had been directed to arrest scapegoats to serve as a deterrent to others. Speaking on the demolition exercise at Makoko area of the state, Governor Sanwo-Olu insisted that evacuation notice have been served for over 2 years before the demolition to those within 150 meters to 250 meters from high-tension wires.
Emergencies and safety of life and property is still the paramount thing that we need to safeguard. I just explained to you that a truck, a 33,000-liter fuel tank on a bridge spilled, and over 100 people used. You've seen it on social media. Scooping, we had to push our first responders to be able to cordon off the place. If anything had happened, it's not what we'll be talking about that we'll have seen this morning. It's the similar thing that we're doing. Of what interest will it be for government to want to unduly demolish anybody's? What interest? If it is not for the overall safety of these citizens that we're talking about. A lot of these people have built the shanties. We're not talking about, poor and vulnerable people, but we have responsibility to also protect you. Build shanties right under the high tension wire, and the regulation is there that you need to clear between 150 to 250 away from the regulation line. So what we're doing is that we're not demolishing the whole of Makoko. We're clearing people not to get to Third Mainland Bridge and to stay off behind the high tension. We're aware that there are some local and international NGOs that want to profit from this. We're studying and we're going to show you evidences. They've made so much money from international people and that they've asked for so much grant and wealth into those places, and it's just for them to cover their own lies and the fact that they've not done what they said they were going to be doing.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has again emphasized the need for multi-stakeholders' commitment to a free, fair and credible election at all times. This is even as the Nigerian police has vowed to resist any political violence and sanctions anyone found culpable. And Mitv correspondent Jamiu Moni brings details of the stakeholders meeting at the INEC headquarters in Osun State. Here is the report.
Is the first to be convened in Osun State by the Independent National Electoral Commission in 2026, ahead of the governorship election in the state later this year. The meeting brought together participants from the Nigerian Police Force and other security agencies under the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ICES, as well as civil society organizations, the National Orientation Agency, and representatives of political parties. Discussions at the meeting focused on ensuring a credible and violence-free election, with deliberations on election arrangements and assessment of risk and potential threats ahead of the poll.
We call on all stakeholders to mobilize eligible citizens for peaceful registration. Refrain from action or statement that may incite tension.
Our own NYC2, we want to, is a national level, and we cannot tarnish the image of the scheme, and will not allow any core member to do so.
Stakeholders appealed for a peaceful electoral atmosphere through the election period to prevent loss of lives and property.
There is no cause of fear or alarm towards the forthcoming election. Osun is our state. We are all together. We are from the same state. These engagements has enabled us that we would have a level playing ground to enable the most popular candidates to win.
Participants also raised concerns bordering on training of INEC ad hoc staffs and responsibility of political parties, among other issues. The Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mitv Agboke, assured that the Commission is committed to delivering a credible election, while calling for the support and cooperation of all stakeholders to achieve that objective.
We want collaboration, cooperation, understanding, and proper togetherness in the executions of INEC activity. And if you listen to them, stakeholders agreed with us. They have been waiting for it, and they have also shown their readiness to cooperate and to ensure the success of that exercise.
Meanwhile, following the killing of one Kasim Oyebamiji, who was reportedly murdered in a politically related attack on Sunday afternoon in Osogbo, the State Commissioner of Police says principal suspects of the murder have been arrested, underscoring the police readiness to combat political violence in the state.
You can imagine the photograph of that man again. It's terrible. It's terrible. You know, can't imagine that human being to human being can behave like that. But I can assure you, we have arrested some people. We are still going to arrest more. Some of the principal suspects have been arrested, and they have been investigated.
While criminals were warned to stay away from Osun State during the electoral process, the State Director of the National Orientation Agency also cautioned residents against misinformation and inciting statements.
With the commencement of campaigns slated for 11th day of March 2026 and the election coming up on the 8th of August this year, INEC has assured continuous stakeholders' engagement to ensure free, fair and credible election in the state. From Osogbo, Jamiu Omaniyi, Mitv News.
And also in Ekiti, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Monday unveiled the final list of candidates for June the 20th governorship election in Ekiti State, leaving out a People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the Social Democratic Party (SDP). The document showed that the names of PDP's candidate, Dr. Wale Oluyede, and his SDP counterpart, David Bankole, were not included. The sources disclosed that both parties were excluded due to unresolved court cases concerning their leadership structures. With the disqualification of the PDP and SDP candidates, 12 political parties were cleared to contest the election. According to the list, the All Progressive Congress APC is fielding the incumbent governor Biodun Yebanji, age 58, with Monishade Afuye, 67, as running mate. Another contendants include Okpeyemi Falcon, 41, of their court party, rolling alongside Omoyeni Bayode, age 48, Akonde Oluwasegun, age 36, of the African Action Congress, paired with Oluwasomi Fatjigbe and Ayodeji Ojo, age 42, of the Action Democratic Party, with Itunu Ibitoye, age 35. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council has stated the Nigerian generated a record of $6.1 billion from non-oil export in 2025, marking the highest earnings ever recorded in the sector. The executive director of the council, Noye Ayeni, disclosed this on Monday in Abuja while presenting the 2025 non-oil export performance and the outlook for 2026. She said the figure represents an 11.5% increase compared to the previous year. Ayeni noted that export volume also grew by 10%, with about 8.02 million metric tons of non-oil products shipped to 120 countries, including the Netherlands, Brazil, and India. She revealed that exports to ECOWAS countries stood at 1.23 trillion metric tons, valued at $272 million, noting that the slight decline recorded was linked to the exit of some countries from the regional bloc. Ayeni listed Nigeria's top non-oil export products to include cocoa and its derivatives, urea, cashews, sesame seeds, gold, copper ingots, and soya beans. She attributed the improved performance to increased value addition, a better compliance with international export standards, and sustained support from the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Looking ahead of the 2026, Ayeni said the council would focus on capacity building, a deeper value addition, a stronger export governance, and closer collaboration with the state governments, reaffirming the NEP's commitment to expanding Nigeria's non-oil sector.
This outstanding performance is not a total story, as a lot of exports still go informally through our various borders. Nigerian Export Promotion Council, in partnership with National Bureau of Statistics and Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as other stakeholders, we are working hard to mainstream informal trade. In volume terms, total non-oil exports stood at 8.02 metric tons, reflecting a 10% increase compared to 7.29 metric tons recorded the previous year. This growth in both value and volume demonstrates improved export activities across multiple value chains and market destinations. In 2025, Nigeria exported a total of 281 non-oil products. These products cut across agricultural commodities, processed goods, semi-processed goods, industrial inputs, solid minerals, reflecting a gradual progress towards value addition and broader product representation in the global market. Nigeria's non-oil exports reached markets across 120 countries, with Netherlands contributing 17.53%, Brazil contributing 10.35%, and India 7.63% of non-oil exports recorded in 2025.
And that's it on the local news. We'll now take a short break. We'll come back. We'll give you some stories on the foreign scene.
Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, reminds all businesses in Lagos State that the 2026 annual tax filing window is now open. All business entities are required to pay all taxes due and file returns on all pay-as-you-earn, payee, and withholding taxes deducted from payments made during the 2025 tax year on or before 31st January 2026 using the LIRS e-tax platform. To file, visit www.etax.lirs.net. Log in with your company taxpayer ID and password. Complete your payee returns and other required information, then submit. Failure to file annual tax returns within the prescribed timeline violates the provisions of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025 and attracts statutory penalties. This message is from the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS.
Welcome back. In the foreign scene, the U.S. President Donald Trump's government has asked countries to pay $1 billion for a permanent spot on its Board of Peace and aimed at resolving conflicts, according to the U.S. media report. The White House has asked the various world leaders to sit on the board, chaired by Trump himself, including the Russian President Vladimir Putin, Hungarian Premier Viktor Orban, and Canada's Mark Carney. The member countries represented on the board by their head of state would be allowed to join for 3 years or longer if they contribute more than $1 billion within the first year, according to the Bloomberg, which first reported The Sun. The 3-year membership term should not apply to the member states that contributed more than the $1 million in cash funds to the Board of Peace within the first year after Charter's entry into force. Trump said the board was originally conceived to oversee the rebuilding of Gaza, but its charter, widely cited by the U.S. media, does not appear to limit its role to the Palestinian territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been invited to join the U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace and aimed at resolving the conflicts globally and oversees the governance and reconstruction in Gaza, the Kremlin said on Monday. Moscow for years tried to balance relations with all major players in the Middle East, including Israel and the Palestinians. But since the Israel-Hamas war and the Russian assault in Ukraine, Putin has moved away from Israel, boosting ties with its foes like Iran. Moscow has also sought closer relationship with the Gulf states amid growing Western isolation. Russia was seeking to clarify all the nuances of the offer within Washington, he said, without adding if the Kremlin chief is inclined to join. And a high-speed train has derailed and been hit by another in southern Spain, killing at least 39 people and injuring more than 120, authorities said on Monday. It said the country's worst train crash in over a decade was extremely strange. This was the deadliest train accident since 2013, when 80 people died after a train veered off and carved stations of track outside the northwestern city of Santiago de Compostela. The crash happened on Sunday evening when a train operated by rail company Aero traveling from Malaga to Madrid derailed near Adams in Andalusia. It crossed onto the other track where it crashed into an oncoming train, which also derailed. Transport Minister Oscar Puertin said that at least 39 people died, warning that this toll was not definite and could still rise. Europe is preparing countermeasures against U.S. President Donald Trump's blackmail after he threatened tariffs against the several countries over their opportunities to his design on Greenland, Germany's Vice Chancellor said on Monday. Trump vowed to, on Saturday, to issue European countries, including Denmark, of which Greenland is an autonomous territory, with tariffs of up to 25% unless Greenland is ceded to the United States. Britain, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden already hit back at the threat in a joint statement at the weekend. Klingbeil said Europe's response could have three main strands. First, the current tariff deal with the United States would be put on hold, he said. A second, European tariffs on imports from the United States, currently suspended until early February, could come into force, and who is also the Germany's finance minister. We now take a short break. Where we'll come back, we'll give you some stories in sport. The Super Eagles have soared to 26th spot in the latest FIFA World Ranking released on Monday by the football governing body. The ranking disclosed on FIFA's website on Monday marks a remarkable 12th place jump. The Eagles also recorded a 79.09 points gained. Nigerians' rise from 38 follow the team's remarkable campaign at the 2025 African Cup of Nations in Morocco. The Super Eagles finished third after edging the Pharaohs of Egypt last Saturday. Meanwhile, the top 10 in the latest FIFA ranking are the regulars. There are Spain, Argentina, France, England, Brazil, Portugal, the Netherlands, Morocco, Belgium, and Germany. In Africa, the top 10 countries are Morocco, Senegal, Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Tunisia, Congo, and Mali. The Moroccan Football Federation said on Monday it has formally referred to the Confederation of African Football CAF and FIFA incidents involving Senegalese players and supporters protesting a penalty to the Moroccan supporters in the African Cup of Nations final. Senegal's protests at a time of normal play during Sunday night's clash in Rabat led to the match being paused for nearly 20 minutes as the players walked off the pitch in anger. Some Senegalese fans at the opposite end of the stadium threw chairs and other objects and attempted to get onto the field after the play. The AFCON host Football Federation said that these acts had a significant impact on the normal course of the match and on the players' performance, with Morocco then missing the penalty that could have granted them the first African title in 50 years. Football governing bodies FIFA and the Confederation of African Football have condemned the unacceptable scenes that marred Sunday's African Cup of Nations final in Rabat, with CAF pledging to take appropriate action against those found guilty. The African final between host Morocco and Senegal was disrupted late in normal time when referee Jean-Jacques Mendale awarded Morocco a penalty following a VAR review for a challenge on Brahim Diaz, with the match level at 0-0. In protest, most Senegal players walked off the pitch, while clashes broke out in the stands involving some Senegalese fans and Moroccan security personnel. CAF, in a statement issued on Monday, condemned the behavior of some players and officials, but stopped short of assigning blame to either team. The body said it is reviewing all available footage and will refer the matter to its disciplinary bodies. Amal Gwahi has completed a high-profile move to Manchester City, joining from Crystal Palace in a long-term contract that runs until June 2031. The England international brings an end to his 4-year spell at Selhurst Park, where he established himself as one of the Premier League's most consistent centre-backs and a key figure in Palace defense. According to Fabrizio Romano's post on X on Monday, Maguire joins Man City from Crystal Palace on contract until June 2031. City moved decisively to secure his signature, with Guehi seen as a strategic addition to Pep Guardiola's squad, both for the present and the long term. And for City, the signing addressed the need for defensive depth and versatility. Guehi's ability to play out from the back and operate in a high defensive line makes him a natural fit for Guardiola's system. And that's where we draw the curtain in tonight's news. I remain Victor Daniels. Good night.
or 002 9. Ramadan, the only month of blessings and forgiveness, is here again. This is an opportunity for corporate bodies to grow their brands and individuals to enjoy unending blessing from Allah by way of sponsoring any of our ARI programs, specially packaged for this Ramadan period. You can sponsor our call to prayer, Ramadan Tafsir, Taraweeh live from Holy Kaaba, Makkah and Medina, Iftar Family Quiz Show, dawn transmission from 3 to 7 a.m. and lots more at affordable cost. For information on how you can be part of this program, contact our marketing department for details or call any of the following lines: 0803 300 4531 or 0803 515 8756 or 002 928 0721. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ready, cabin for landing. I hope there shall be no drum.